20 minutes after 6 o'clock, and while many people were celebrating on Christmas Day and spending time with loved ones, the NSRI being incredibly careful, making sure that we're all safe around the country's coastlines and also inland water bodies. But unfortunately, there have been several drowning incidents since the start of the festive season. Just yesterday, I understand a 14-year-old was swept over a sea wall while swimming at the Seaview Resort's tidal pool. Let's bring in a very busy Craig Lambinon, National Sea Rescue Institute spokesperson. Evening to you, Craig. I'd like to say I hope you had a good Merry Christmas, but I'm afraid it's not the case for someone with your job. Tell me about this incident. What do we know about this? Good evening.
Yeah, so the latest incident is at Kobaga, where a 14-year-old went missing late yesterday afternoon after being swept over the tidal pool wall while swimming during the peak of the spring high tide. It had just changed from high tide to start going to low tide, and waves were actually washing over the wall, unusually large waves. So we do know that the sea itself is an unpredictable environment, and hence we continue to appeal to families to only swim at beaches protected by lifeguards.
This is such an unusual incident, though, as well, because when you and I spoke just a few days ago, Craig, I think everyone now knows what Craig Lambinon says about swimming between the flags only at beaches where there are lifeguards. I think we can all hear you saying it in our minds when we go to a beach. But this particular 14-year-old, he was swimming in a tidal pool. Would that not have been safer for him? Does this seem more like a freak incident for someone with your experience?
So absolutely, in a tidal pool is normally safe. In this particular incident, understanding we also appeal to the public to be aware of the 2 high tides and 2 low tides daily, and to be aware of spring tide that happens twice a month at the full moon phase and the new moon phase. So in this case, at the peak of the high tide, the waves were actually washing over the tidal pool wall while he was swimming in the tidal pool. And then he got swept out of the tidal pool into the seaside. And a very rescue services, NSRI, coastal water rescue, and police and emergency services, hampered by very rocky terrain, a barely accessible stretch of coastline for a search of this nature. But police divers are continuing to search in that case. And our thoughts are with the family in this difficult time.
And I imagine as well, in incidents like this, perhaps there are family members. You always say, Craig, that at least one adult needs to be watching the children, not sitting on your cell phone, not reading a book, not with your back towards the water, all of those good lessons that you always tell us. But I see the NSRI just a few days ago also called out to a rescue on the KZN South Coast, where a father tried to save his own child, and I believe he lost his life, the father in this case. And I suppose that it's only human instinct, isn't it? As a parent, you want to save your children, but when it comes to the sea and the ocean, it's probably the worst thing to do, call those who are trained to do it. Would you agree?
Agreed, and an incredibly sad case, as you mentioned, where the father doing what instinctively a father would want to do, is to try to save his child, and then ending up being the victim himself. We have positioned pink rescue buoys around the coastline. That is an ongoing project, rolling them out. And the idea there is, if you see somebody in trouble, throw the floating object towards the person, that they can grab onto it and use that as flotation while you raise the alarm. Calling the NSRI on our 112 or 087 094 9774 number, so we can respond. But also, if you're at a beach where there are lifeguards on duty and maybe the person was swimming outside of the lifeguard protected area, to shout to those lifeguards, and they will attend immediately as well, while raising the alarm for additional services to respond. It's a massive response to a drowning incident, and all emergency services get involved in that. But we are appealing to the public to contribute to drowning prevention by having a safety conscious mindset in and around water, coastal water and inland waters, even your swimming pool at home, that should have a cloak of safety around it.
Craig, I'm just going to repeat that number for our viewers. I think we lost your connection ever so briefly, and it's such an important number. Obviously, 112 is the national emergency number. And Craig, just give me a nod if I've got this right. I've got 087 094 9774. That's the number that I've got for that as well. Craig Lambinon, I'm going to say thank you very much indeed for you joining us this evening. That number that you were looking for is 087 094 9774. That's for the NSRI, the emergency number, in case you are looking for them. And if you need to at all, try and get hold of them if you find yourself in any kind of situation where you need lifeguards or anybody being swept out to sea or inland water where there's danger. You're welcome to contact them on that number as well, 112.